Every civilization must contend with an unconscious force which can block, betray, or countermand almost any conscious intention of the collectivity. Teilaxu theorem, unproven. Paul sat on the edge of his bed and began stripping off his desert boots. They smelled rancid from the lubricant, which eased the action of the heel-powered pumps that drove his stillsuit. It was late. He had prolonged his nighttime walk and caused worry for those who loved him. Admittedly, the walks were dangerous, but it was a kind of danger he could recognize and meet immediately. Something compelling and attractive surrounded walking anonymously at night in the streets of Erechim. He tossed the boots into the corner beneath the room's lone glow globe, attacked the seal strips of his stillsuit. Gods below, how tired he was! The tiredness stopped at his muscles, though, and left his mind seething. Watching the mundane activities of everyday life filled him with profound envy. Most of that nameless flowing life outside the walls of the keep couldn't be shared by an emperor. But to walk down a public street without attracting attention, what a privilege! To pass by the clamoring of medicine pilgrims, to hear a Fremen curse a shopkeeper, "You have damp hands." Paul smiled at the memory. Slipped out of his stillsuit, he stood naked and oddly attuned to his world. Dune was a world of paradox now, a world under siege, yet the center of power. To come under siege, he decided, was the inevitable fate of power. He stared down at the green carpeting, feeling its rough texture against his soles. The streets had been ankle-deep in sand blown over the shield walls on the Stratus wind. Foot traffic had churned it into choking dust which clogged stillsuit filters. He could smell the dust even now, despite a blower cleaning at the portals of his keep. It was an odor full of desert memories. Other days. Other dangers. Compared to those other days, the peril in his lonely walks remained minor. But, putting on a stillsuit, he put on the desert. The suit, with all its apparatus for reclaiming his body's moisture, guided his thoughts in subtle ways, fixed his movement in a desert pattern. He became a wild Fremen. More than a disguise, the suit made of him a stranger to his city self. In the stillsuit, he abandoned security and put on the old skills of violence. Pilgrims and townfolk passed him then with eyes of downcasts. They left the wild one strictly alone out of prudence. If the desert had a face for city folk, it was Fremen face concealed by a stillsuit's mouth-nose filters. In truth, there existed now only the small danger that someone from the old siege days might mark him by his walk, by his odor, or by his eyes. Even then, the chances of meeting an enemy remained small. A swish of door hangings and a wash of light broke his reverie. Chani entered bearing his coffee service on a platinum tray. 2 slaved glow globes followed her, darting to their positions, one at the head of their bed, one hovering beside her to light her work. Chani moved with an ageless air of fragile power. So self-contained, so vulnerable, Something about the way she bent over the coffee service reminded him then of their first days. Her features remained darkly elfin, seemingly unmarked by their years, unless one examined the outer corners of her whiteless eyes, noting the lines there. Sand tracks, the Fremen of the desert called them. Steam wafted from the pot as she lifted the lid by its hagar emerald knob. He could tell the coffee wasn't yet ready by the way she replaced the lid. The pot, fluting silver female shape, pregnant, had come to him as a ganima, a spoil of battle, won when he'd slain for the former owner in a single combat. Jamis, that'd been the man's name. Jamis. What an odd immortality death had earned for Jamis. Knowing death to be inevitable, had Jamis carried that particular one in his hand? Chani put out cups, blue pottery squatting like attendants beneath the immense pot. There were 3 cups, one for each drinker, and one for all the former owners. "It'll only be a moment," she said.